What's up, guys? Today I'm going to do my darndest to finish putting this block together. I'm gonna go pick up some head bolts so I can get the head stuck back on, and get the valley cover stuck on, um, get the rockers and all that stuck back on in the heads, and get the valley cover or valve covers painted up. We're gonna go with like a wrinkle black, just to kind of. We're gonna have a couple different colors going here, but it'll flow nice in the engine bay. So, um, for whatever reason, I'm new to this, and I really thought that I could reuse these head bolts. And through a good amount of research this morning, looking up the torque sequence and the degree and all that, I didn't know you had to degree them. I knew they were torque to yield, but I didn't know you had to degree them. So, in reading all that, I'm like, I don't really feel like you can use the stock bolts. So I keep looking, and nobody uses the stock bolts. They're like, you gotta get new head bolts. You gotta get new head bolts. So, dig into the cash register and ching some more money out. More money, more money. But it's alright. I guess I'm ahead, and I haven't really spent as much as half of the people that build LSs have so far. So the engine turned out really good. I'm really digging the orange. It looks good. I can't wait to put the heads on it and the headers and all that. But first things first, I'm going to have to run to the store. And I'm probably just going to get some O'Reilly's Johnny Boys, because if reusing the stock ones was good enough for me, then O'Reilly head bolts are good enough for me. I'm not going to buy GM ones. I don't give a shit. So we're going to make a trip to the parts store. Alright, so he scored us some head bolts and a torque angle gauge. Did not know I needed that, but found out that I did. So, oh, and a pro tip when you're trying to get head bolts, be sure if you have a 99, since that was a year split, make sure that he puts in 99 Silverado, not 99 C1500, because the 1500s had the older Vortec motors, and he gave me the wrong head bolts. So we had to turn around and go back and get the right ones. And we figured out that since he put C1500 and not Silverado, that it included the old motors like the 5.7s and 6.0s and all that, instead of the newer LS 4.8s and 5.3s and all that. So pro tip for y'all on that. I think all I'm gonna do is I noticed I forgot I had taped this off because I thought this got covered, but it doesn't. Silly me. So I think I'm gonna try to just paint this little bit right here, just so it doesn't look awkward when we have the motor all put together. Other than that, I'm gonna set the heads on, set the valley cover down. I'll probably do it in a wrinkle black, and then I'll do these valve covers in wrinkle black. I picked up some of that VHT. We all know VHT's the stuff, so we're gonna try that out, see how it looks, and if it sucks, the valley cover and valve covers are easy to take off later if we want to repaint them and do something different, but I think it'll turn out just fine. So I'm gonna set most of this on the time lapse because I'm gonna have the heater on and it's super noisy. I don't want y'all to have to sit there and listen to me yelling over that. So time lapse we go. Alright, so this paint ain't quite turning out the way I wanted it to, but I think I went a little too heavy at the start. It's supposed to be like a wrinkled texture, kind of like this one's about right. Camera can't pick it up right. I'm gonna let that dry for a long time, and then I'm gonna come back and just dust it way back here to try to get that nice textured look to it. I mean, it don't really matter a lot because the cool packs are gonna cover all this up, but I want them to kind of, you know, look half decent. I read online that it's very important that you get the all the water and gunk and crap out of the head bolt holes before you send the new head bolts through, because it can't escape and all that water and gunk compresses and you're forcing it farther down into the hole where it can't go, and that causes you to crack the block, which I do not want to do. I don't know how true or how sensitive it is to that, but I'm gonna do a little bit of blowing on these holes and getting them cleared out as much as I can. And then I read online that if you don't have a chaser, you just take one of the old head bolts and grind one side of the threads flat like this and run it down the hole and bring it back. And I already did it on this one, and you can see to this line how it's darker. It picked up some stuff, so I'm gonna try to clean those up while this paint's drying, and hopefully by the time I get them all ran through and cleaned up a little bit, I'll be able to just kind of dust these and then strap on my big boy pants and set these heads on and start torquing them down. I'm nervous about that part, but I picked up this degree tool, the torque angle gauge, because you're supposed to do like 22 foot-pounds in the sequence and then do 90 degrees in that sequence again, and then on a third and final pass do another 90 degrees. And that sounds like a lot, but I got fresh bolts, so as long as I clean the threads out pretty good, I should be alright. I'm just nervous about it for some reason. This is my first motor putting together, so it's kind of nerve-wracking, but hopefully it'll all go together smooth. And here, hopefully maybe within the next month, we'll have everything put together and have it slapped in the 94 and have her fired up and running and get to hear that cam. So I'm gonna put y'all on time lapse while I chase all these threads, because y'all probably don't want to see that whole long process, but let's get to it. Woo! Man, let me tell y'all, torquing them head bolts is something serious. Doing this, so you do them all at 22 foot-pounds in sequence. And then the second pass, you only do these all at, give them an extra 90 degrees. And then you give all of them except for 9 and 10 another 90 degrees, and you give 9 and 10 another 50. And dude, that final pass of the final 90s and 50s, holy smokes, dude. Like, that is, of all the bolts I've ever snapped in my life, I was like, I'm going to snap these. I am going to snap these bolts. They're going to snap. And sure enough, I guess they just stretch. And after that, that puts a whole lot of faith in head gaskets for me. Because, dude, you clamp them suckers down so much. If they leak, you gotta be doing some serious cylinder pressure to get them suckers to leak. Because that took almost all I got to get them suckers as tight as they're supposed to be. But now that I got it down, my nerves are a little better because it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And we're going to get this passenger side slapped on. Looks like these turned out awesome. They roughed up like I wanted them to. They got nice. So I think I'm going to go ahead, and when I get this other head on, I'm going to go ahead and put the push rods and rockers in and put the valve covers on here, and that way this sucker's pretty well sealed up for whenever we come out here next. We'll put you back on the time lapse. Let's see if I can get this other side knocked out a little smoother. Y'all don't know how close I was to not buying this tool. So I looked all over, and it's 22 foot-pounds all the way around. And then you're supposed to do 90 degrees through all of these M11 head bolts. These only get torqued to 22, and that's it. These get the 90 degrees, and then they get another 90 degrees, except for these outside two get 50. Well, the way people do that is they get a paint pen and they mark a little line across it. Well, if you do 90 degrees, if you start out with all vertical lines, you'll end up with all horizontal lines for that first pass. And then you do that second pass, turn them all back until they're vertical again. So that's the way to do it. If you don't have access to getting one of these, it's a torque, what was it called? A torque angle gauge. It was at O'Reilly's, it was at AutoZone, it was at Advanced, and it was like 10 to 15 bucks across all the stores. So if you want to just do the paint marker method, I'm sure it's probably not all that critical. If you get that close, it's probably there. But for the 10 to 15 bucks that it is, that's a little bit of peace of mind, and I'm a nervous wreck, especially about this. This is the most in-depth I've ever been in an engine, so I kind of wanted to make sure that I had that right. But I will say, from doing that first one to coming over here, I felt like way more comfortable over here. And now having done that, I'd have no problem doing that again. So that's cool. That was a good experience. I had a pretty big fear doing these, and I conquered it. So that's cool. Did a little research. I was going to reuse the original head bolts, and then I read that you're not supposed to do that. Went and bought proper head bolts. Then I found out you're supposed to degree them on top of torquing them. Wasn't going to do that. Then bought the piece for that. So an extra 30 minutes of research cost me about 70 bucks between the bolts and the gauge. But that 70 bucks afforded me a ton of peace of mind on knowing that these are as tight as they need to be and they were done right, and I didn't risk snapping a bolt or something like that. So I'm super stoked. I'm probably going to time lapse zipping all the push rods and the rockers and all that back in, and then that'll probably be it for this weekend. So I'm going to put you back on the time lapse and we'll get that knocked out. Yeah, 15 foot-pounds ain't nothing. Guys, look at this thing. Dude. This is coming together crazy. Like, I'm so proud of this. I'm so thankful for my father-in-law, Chris, Jake, for helping us one day, taking stuff apart, getting this motor out, and James Clevenger, 100%. He's been here every weekend helping. I can't thank him enough for that. My boy John Belt came by. Casey Barnwell helped us. But I grew a sack, bolted the heads on today. That was a big milestone for me as far as conquering my nerves. Got these valve covers on. Shout out James Clevenger for the idea of using the wrinkle black. I really like that. It added the perfect amount of texture. So did that. Got the valley cover on. Got the new knock sensors in, the new knock harness. They had it spliced really weird, but I just ripped it out of the insulation and moved it back where it needs to be, and I'll probably retape it up, make it look nice. But guys, it's been a crazy weekend. So that'll wrap it up for tonight. Thank you guys again for watching. This week I'm gonna have to suck it up and get those headers welded up and painted. I got some paint for those. So we're gonna get that took care of, and then after that, pretty much, I guess I can stick the water pump on and get the intake and the coil packs cleaned up. They're looking rough. They're not pretty. So I'll have to get those cleaned up, get the intake shined up. It's pretty rough. So that'll be what I'm going to try to get accomplished this week. The intake cleaned up, coil packs cleaned up, the headers welded and painted, and then we're also going to have to get the 95 in here and start cleaning the engine bay. We didn't get a paint decided on this weekend, so we'll have to do that this week and get the motor mount switched out. And then I'm really going to have to focus on getting the harness accomplished and getting the engine bay painted and prepped to slap this baby in there, because now I'm motivated more than ever to get the engine bay and the 95 painted looking sweet before we put this thing in there. It'd be a damn shame to stick this nice looking thing in there and just have it in some shit engine bay. So thanks guys, that's it for this one. Y'all stay tuned. Peace.